A Lamar University student says life events has inspired him to create a video game and next, hopefully, a comic book. 12 News reporter Kelsey Johnson shares his story growing up Mexican-American.
Gonzalo Alvarez is a Mexican-American who struggled to understand American culture growing up. That's because his parents migrated to the United States from Mexico just before he was born. Their efforts to give him a better life inspired the video game Borders, which is based on his parents' journey to America. Borders has been available for about a year on Android devices. The game has helped with funding for his first book in the series, The Legend of Polloman. Alvarez is creating the comic book series based on tales he heard as a child and basing the main character Polloman after himself. He hopes his stories will bridge a gap between Mexican and American culture.
And it kind of just encompasses all the different characters that he's going to have to defeat. Polloman, it's a Mexican folklore adventure about a timid boy who has to learn to overcome his childhood fears and defeat mythical legends like La Llorona, El Cucuy, El Ratón de Dientes.
For the past 2 years, Gonzalo Alvarez has been balancing college and creating comic books based on Mexican folklore.
I wanted to make a world that had, all these Mexican icons I grew up with, and to teach and also entertain people with, these amazing characters that exist in Mexican culture.
A culture he is most proud of, and why he is basing his comic book series, The Legend of Polloman, on stories from his childhood.
Growing up, I had these stories my parents would tell me, like El Cucuy, he's like the Mexican equivalent of the boogeyman. And so it's like, if you're bad, El Cucuy's gonna get you and stuff. And so it's like, I had this amazing imagination about what would he look like and all this stuff.
So with ink and paper, Alvarez got to work. But as you know, all villains need a superhero, which is where Polloman, or Chicken Man in English, comes in. And if you're wondering why a chicken, well, it's simple.
I like chickens. I think chickens are funny. They're very, iconic in Mexican culture, but more so it's kind of a play on the fact that the character is a coward and he is a chicken. But by the end of this series that I'm making, he would have transformed into something that is proud. He's proud of himself and where he's at.
Polloman is a reflection of how Alvarez felt growing up as a Mexican-American.
I felt indifferent in America because my parents didn't know American culture, and I was born into it, so it was this new thing to me.
In the beginning of the series, Polloman falls into the underworld where all these Aztec creatures exist, almost giving it an Alice in Wonderland vibe. Alvarez says he was a shy kid growing up, but with each obstacle he faced, his confidence in himself grew, just as it will with each villain Polloman faces.
The character, like I said, is just this timid boy who goes from being, a loser to being, a hero. And so I personally had that same transformation. Growing up, I was always kind of the outcast. And so I felt that was a big part of me.
Looking back on who he was and seeing how far he's come makes this college senior proud. Proud of his family and thankful for their sacrifice to ensure his future is his own. And mostly proud that he has created a character kids can relate to, bringing to life stories from his Mexican heritage to share with those of a different culture.
I just want to be a role model for young Hispanics and just for anyone with this work.
There will be 6 books total in the series. Alvarez hopes to publish the first Legend of Polloman in December. And if you wish to keep up with Gonzalo's work, his books, his video game, or just want to ask him a question, there will be a link to his website in this story at 12newsnow.com. In studio, Kelsey Johnson, 12 News.